So what do you do after you get your brand new filament delivered from you in the mail or in person? You cut it open, you use it, but now you have the filament lying around. How do you keep that filament dry? Well, today I'm going to tell you how I'm doing it with my filament dryer and my Airtight sealing bags. All right, so as you can see here, this is filament I've used before. I actually use this to make a SpongeBob bikini bottom sort of item, styled item. But this bag here is resealable. It looks like a normal Ziploc, but the additional thing to note is the air valve here. And the air valve is the important part. So this set had smaller and large bags, and it also came with an air pump. This air pump does the opposite of what a normal air pump would do. Instead of pumping air into an item, this takes the air out, which is perfect for our needs. So in this case, you're putting the pump over the air valve and you are sucking the air out of the bag, allowing your filament to remain dry. And I just stashed a silica gel packet in there just for extra measure. Here is a smaller version of the same type of bag with the air valve there. And you'll see that it's holding well. Everything is sealed tight. Now, the next part of this process to keep your filament dry and safe is, what if you already have filament that's been sitting out? For instance, the filament that might be on your spool, or filament you've just had laying around. Even if you did remove the air when you bag it and add silica, this does not get the moisture that is already seeped in to the filament from the exposure to air. So the best way to do that next is to use a filament dryer. So I bought a filament dryer from Amazon. It is the Comgrow filament dryer. What I like about this filament dryer is that it has room for 2 spools, which is fairly useful. One thing about the Comgrow to know in this case is covers humidity ranges of 0 to 99%, operates at a temperature from 9 degrees Celsius to 85 degrees Celsius, and has a rated power of 48 watts. So there's some simple functionality here. These 4 holes are for letting out moisture, so you want to keep those open, but it's a fairly simple procedure where you open it up. You would put in your filament into the rack, seal this back up, and with your settings, you would set the temperature, you would set the time. This one goes up to, I believe, several hours, so all the way up to about 40 something hours of drying, which is very useful. And when it's drying, it's actually fairly quiet, which is nice to know. And you can hold down do you hear the silent hum? So it's fairly quiet for drying, and it is fairly efficient. I think it works very well. So would I recommend it? I'd say yes. It fits the standard large spools quite well of filament, and it also fits the smaller as well. The reason why it's able to do that is because on the inside, you'll see that it has these 2 racks here, and it holds nearly all standard sizes, which is great. I think it's possible that you could put more than 2 in there if you had smaller spools, but it's not something I would try personally. Other than that, I think it's a great simple solution to dry your filament, and then when combined with the resealable bags with the air valve, an excellent way to maintain your filament throughout the year. But let me know what you think. One extra feature for this particular filament dryer that others do have, but it's a nice to have, if you're dealing with a tricky material like PLA, sorry, not PLA, if you're dealing with a tricky material like TPU or ABS, sometimes certain filament dryers do not work with them. They're not compatible for the right temperatures, etc. So you do have to check and make sure that the filament dryer that you use goes with that, meets that requirement. One added benefit of using a filament dryer over something else, for instance, just using like a heated garden seedling heater. That's a good alternative there, but one of the benefits of this is that you can connect it to the extruder directly. So you can use this as the filament spool holder, and you can use that with your 3D printer. So you can keep the filament dry and stored, similar to the cereal dry boxes that I've seen, but also it could be in the heater itself, so it's kept dry and throughout the print. So for instance, if you have a very long print that's going on for 30 to 60 hours, even though it's optimized, you could imagine a large scale print, for instance, or a large multi-part or multi-plate project. You would want the filament that you're using over that time to remain the same quality that it went in when it started, so that you're not getting inconsistencies in different parts of your build, because that creates problems. So using a filament dryer that has the option for you to keep your spools of filament in there and allow it to continue to be dry is important. So that's just one of the main benefits of that system. So yeah, let me know in the comments what sort of filament dryer you use. If you have any sort of other alternatives that you use. I have had some success with using the 3D printer hot heated bed itself and just adding a box on top of it with my spool on the inside and adding puncture holes so that moisture can escape. But let me know what you use in the comments. I'm open to hear more. Thank you for watching.